Well, here on the update, we like to introduce you to some of our businesses here in town. And right in the heart of Deer Path is something called Symphony Clinical Research. Now, this is a heavy hitter that you might not have heard about, but you've probably had the benefit of because they're involved in a lot of testing and research for getting new drugs and medical things on the market. We're with Nikki Norris, the CEO of Symphony. And thanks for taking the time. I know you guys are really busy this summer. A lot's happening here at your organization.
Oh, you're right, Lynn. A lot is happening, but I thank you for being here, and we're pleased to be a part of Vernon Hills.
And you are a really interesting take a new twist on something that's been around for a while, and that's where you help pull companies and biotechs and all these companies together to help them do their research to test their products, and you do it in a really interesting way that has really made you successful, not only in this area, but across the country and across the world.
Well, I like to think so. What we do, as you know, many companies in this area, Takeda, Astellas, Baxter, they bring drugs and devices to the medical community, okay? And when they're trying to get a drug or a device on the market, they go through a clinical research study, which is highly regulated by the FDA in the United States, and they are very compliant with complex procedures to make sure that those drugs and those devices are safe and efficacious for the subjects participating in the trial. And they spend huge amounts of money, like $1 billion, and 10 years getting a drug on the market these days. And some of the biggest issues that they deal with are getting patients to enroll in their trials and getting patients to stay in their trials. And so what we do is we take some of the trial visits to the patients in their homes. And when we do that, we make it convenient. And when we make it convenient, guess what? People are more willing to consider participating in a clinical study, and they're more likely to stay in the study through the length of it.
Well, I had read on your website that sometimes you have even 60% dropout, of some of the, you don't, but the industry has just such a high dropout because nobody can stick with it. They can't do all of the, or they go to Florida for 2 months and that throws them out of the study or something like that. And you have really changed the industry because your rates of staying in are way in the upper 90%. So just by changing your model, you've changed the whole industry.
You know, I believe that's true. And on average, there are common industry statistics that say most studies have 25% of their patients drop out of the study. And we have been able to demonstrate one case study where it was as low as 3%. And what happens is that when you're trying to live your life, which is your number one thing, and deal with some kind of a serious illness, which typically causes people to participate in a study, driving to Northwestern is just a real problem if you happen to live in Vernon Hills, and I can help you that work better with the rest of your life.
So you kind of incorporate that home health care model is what you're doing. You have all the experts and you come right to me.
That's exactly what we do. We are a combination of expertise. We bring the expertise of home health care nurses, typically nurses in the United States, to clinical trials.
Mm-hmm. And you do all that work, all that connection, which is where you decided to change your name because you are orchestrating all these different parties in a symphony. Nice name.
That's exactly what our thinking was. We just changed our name, as you know, to Symphony Clinical Research. And our tagline is orchestrating trials in motion for exactly the reason you said. We believe that we bring experts, maestros, with their various instruments or their various backgrounds together to make this work very effectively for the clients that we serve.
Now, your headquarters is right here in Vernon Hills, but you work all over the place.
That is true. This is our headquarters. This is our corporate headquarters. But we can actually provide services to your clinical trial in the U.S., Canada, 14 countries outside the U.S., most of Western Europe, Israel, and Australia.
So you're all over the place, right from here in Vernon Hills. So, and when we talk about that, because you can help those people, that means even the patients who are involved in the trials, you can bring that amount of expertise too, because I know if I travel part of the time, I can still take part in this. So if I go to Florida to get away from the winter, I can still help the medical industry and maybe get some help myself with some of these new medical breakthroughs, and I can be part of this.
That's exactly right. We do a lot of snowbird work because of our lovely Chicago winters most years. But we also have followed people to college. We've followed people on vacation. We can take the trial wherever you want to be.
Wow, this is really interesting. Now, you've been around for quite a while too, because what year did you get started, and how did that history come about?
We were founded in 2003, and our founder was a lady who had worked in clinical trials, and in a different job, she'd worked in home care. And she realized that these two really made some sense and had some synergy. She brought them together. And so we know that this concept was tried as early as 1995, and then this company was formed in 2003, and anyway, kind of an exciting story since then.
It is an exciting story, and I can tell, I know that you're growing by leaps and bounds, and with so many new things coming on the market, I know you're busy as all get out with all your people all around the world. So we wish you the best. And now, I know before we started rolling the camera, you said there are things people can think about. You don't have to be like the next, you don't have to have a biotech company or a drug you're trying to test, but there's something that you can keep in mind if you're at home. And you want to help this whole process, because you said, especially with somebody like you make it easy to take part.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that could really help, Lynn, is if people understand that there are clinical studies going on, and particularly if you have a family history of some genetic disease, you could be really meaningful in making this better for your grandchildren or your children's children. If you're willing to open your mind to a clinical trial. And there are ways you can participate in a trial and still have a convenient involvement without, taking over the rest of your life.
And how can people find out more about things like that? Is that through their physician, or?
Physicians are the typical way people find out about clinical trials, but I think one of the things that's going on today is the internet, and there's just tons of information out there. If you happen to have an Alzheimer's issue, there's the Alzheimer's Association, and more associations are playing matchmaker between people and their interest in clinical trials. So I would encourage everyone to consider participation.
And it's like you said, it might not help today, but it definitely will help tomorrow and the next day after that, because these are long processes we're talking about.
Absolutely right.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Symphony is right here in Vernon Hills. What a success story for you all, and we're proud to have you as neighbors. If people want to find out more, go online, check the internet, or give them a call over here. And as you said, keep your mind open to those clinical trials, especially if Symphony's involved. It'll be easy. So
thank you so much. Thank you, Lynn.